So when I say product owner, let me just define that to begin with. So product ownership, and as Michael alluded to earlier, I wrote a book called Scrum Product Ownership, Focusing Value from the Inside Out was the subtitle for that in 2009. I'm actually looking to do a second edition of that pretty soon, and I'm capturing ideas. So if anyone wants to reach out to me and partner with that, I'd welcome that, any product owners. But when I say product owner, it's a classic Scrum definition, which is that liaison to the business. I'll use some terms. It could be a customer. It could be a business. I've seen business analysts operate in the role of the product owner. The stakeholders can be a product owner. Product managers are often knighted or designated to be product owners. Requirement providers. So anyone tasked with describing and accepting, an important part here is describing, interacting with the team, accepting business-facing value produced by an Agile team, I would characterize as a product owner. That's the role that I'm talking about here. In extreme programming, there's the role of customer. Really, I think of that as a product owner role. It's that collaborative partner with the team. So that's the definition that I'm using for the rest of the workshop. And clearly it's Scrum-centric, but if you're using another Agile methodology, I mean, you'll get the point along the way. I think all of the methods and all of the teams have the notion of an embedded customer or an integrated customer. The other thing I want to encourage people early on along the way is to ask questions in the question boxes. I'll be pausing at certain points, as Michael alluded to, and I'd like to get some questions at the end of each section, so don't hold them to the end. I may not get to everyone, but it would be a nice break in the action to see how people are reacting to the ideas and to see if there's any questions out there. I'd certainly like to address them. So the audience for this talk is truly not, it's not product owner centric. It's the team. So I want to talk to the whole team if I can. So any team member I hope gets value from it. Any Agile team member. I try to be, even though the terminology will be Scrum centric, I just typically talk in terms of Agile, Agile terms with Scrum. I reference Scrum, but I want to be Agile methodology agnostic. And I'm trying to imply a whole team view. You'll see that thread weaved throughout the presentation, where the entire team collaborates on the work. They elaborate stories. They deliver on value and they deliver on quality. So I think that's really central. We're talking about product ownership as the role, but it's within that framework of the product owner being a member of the team, the Scrum Master being the member of the team. It's the entire Scrum team collaborating together. So that's my audience, and that's again my context. Another focus point for the workshop is I want to talk about simple patterns versus essential patterns, and I want to make this distinction. It's just a frame that I'm using for talking about stories throughout. So the simple patterns are good. I'm going to start every pattern with a simple pattern. So I'm not slamming them. I'm not referring to them as being a poor practice in any way. So I'll talk about a simple pattern. But then when I get to the essential pattern, it's a little bit more collaborative, and I consider it better. So it's better or maybe not best, but it's where we want to be leaning towards. It's where we want to be growing towards as Agile teams. And then I'll share stories from the trenches. Some of them are patterns, some of them are anti-patterns, some of them are a mix of the two. I want to give you a flavor of what not to do and what to do, and then have this good and better sort of tempo that I go through. So let's start that tempo. One aspect is who owns the backlog. So there's this question that I think haunts Agile teams quite often of the notion of ownership. I probably should have ownership or owns underlined. Who owns the backlog? Who is the keeper of the backlog? Who is the king or queen of the backlog? So the simple pattern is the product owner, quote unquote, owns the product backlog. I think that comes out of the literature, that comes out of the Scrum basics. That's that simple pattern of ownership. I want to take that to another level, and I want to extend it and to the point that I think it takes a village. The essential pattern is it takes a village to own the backlog. I don't think any one individual, any one, supreme being called a product owner can effectively own and share and envision a backlog. I like the pattern where it takes a village to do that, where it's a group exercise. And so what are some of the roles or the characteristics of that village? Well, I think clearly it's the product organization. Clearly in organizations at scale, there are collections of product owners. It's not just a singular product owner. And I want, they're part of that village. Stakeholders are part of that village. Hopefully, an active part of that village with executives, C-level folks, directors. Business analysts can be part of that village. Testers, software programmers, developers, engineers, Scrum masters, project managers. The list goes on. I'm not trying to be, exclusive here in this. The point is anyone in the organization who feels compelled to connect to a backlog, I think, can be part of the village that owns that backlog, that's part of that project. You don't want to be reluctant to do that. You want to contribute. Now there's active influencing points or injection points. So ownership, I don't think ownership is continuous on a 7-by-24 basis, but there are these wonderful opportunities for folks, for the villagers to engage in the backlog. One aspect of that is being active, tremendously active in the sprint reviews. So getting yourself in the sprint review, being committed to the sprint review, sitting with and visit the team via daily interactions. I've often seen the pattern where stakeholders attend the sprint review, and usually they're limited in time. There's not that much time, so the team may leave capabilities or demonstration capabilities on the table, or they may not be able to get to all the questions from the audience. Those active questions, particularly if it's an engaging sprint review, it just warms my heart when I see stakeholders and executives following a team back to their sitting area after a sprint review, getting more, coming attraction, sitting down and getting a more detailed glimpse of what the team just completed, what the working software looks like. So sitting with the team or visiting the team, daily interactions, doesn't have to be daily, but the point is engaging. When you have a question, instead of shooting an email, get up and go talk to the team. Having the courage to tell truth to leadership in the team is an injection point. So the team telling truth upward, for example, in leadership, telling truth to the team. If the team worked on something that you don't like, instead of holding it or smiling or having a polite round of applause when you hated, when you really disliked the interface that they put together, it's much more powerful and much more honest and coherent to tell the team, to give them that constructive feedback, to give them positive feedback and constructive feedback, right? Preferably right there in the sprint review, so that they can accept that feedback and they can take action. The village is interacting. They're exchanging honest feedback to each other, honest discourse, with the point of view of delighting the customer, with providing high value. Working code is part of that. An important point of these injection points from the village is sharing the vision, goals, and ownership challenges, successes and failures. You see that in the sprint, particularly in reviews. You can see that in retrospectives. You can see that in planning. It's important particularly for leadership folks, for executives and stakeholders, to share their vision with the team, to let the team know what the challenges are, what the competitive landscape it looks like, so that you can goal the team towards success. They know what's expected. You're not telling them what to do, but you're goaling them towards an end result. Now, it is important to have a singular, decisive voice.